In a previous video, we talked about the basics of working with sound. In this video, we're going to be going in more depth about editing sound with some tips, tricks, and procedures to help you get better audio results. This is DisciplesNet, and these are discoveries along the way. In bringing DisciplesNet worship services and other resources to you, we've made many discoveries along the way. Whether it's specific types of technology or procedures to use for good results, we're sharing them with you here. Welcome to Discoveries Along the Way. As I've said before, good audio makes for good video. In fact, we suggest that you start with audio editing before you work on video editing. The reasons are simple. First, you'll find the points where the audio quality is unusable, if any, before you spend a lot of time editing the video. Of course, it's best to set up your recording situation to avoid as many of these as you can. But you might not notice a hiss or a cutout as your wireless microphone battery runs down. You might not have noticed that your speaker is too close to a wall and you've got an echo that you just can't edit out. Whatever the case, it's best to find these right at the start and re-record the segment before you invested a lot of time in editing the video segments that have audio you can't use. Next, there are several situations where you'll have to synchronize or line up the audio and video tracks. We'll talk about that in a minute. The thing is, if you cut up and move around the video segments before synchronizing, you'll have to synchronize each segment rather than synchronizing those tracks as a whole from the start. Finally, most of the audio editing will involve changes that will be made to the whole audio track all at the same time. Examples of that would include eliminating noise and increasing the volume of a person speaking. If you cut up the audio track, you'll have to do the same thing over and over again with each segment, and the tone of sound may change from segment to segment. So, let's take a look at how to edit your audio tracks, beginning with synchronizing. Why do you need to synchronize? If you're recording audio and video with the same device, it's often not necessary to do this. However, running the sound through a sound system may introduce a lag between the two. And if you use a separate device to record audio and video, then there will be absolutely a need to synchronize the two. We suggest that you start a video with a specific procedure that will make synchronizing easy. You may have seen a movie clapperboard, which combines this function with labeling the video segments and even allowing you to adjust color settings. How does it work? When you're recording, you begin by clapping the bar against the board, and that shows up on both the video and the audio, as you can see here. The problem with this is that it's only one signal. We might suggest that you have more than one. In fact, we suggest that you have the speaker clap in an irregular pattern, such as this. That gives you several clues to line up the video and the audio tracks. You might also have several audio devices recording at the same time. You can manually line up each audio track with the video, but some editing programs have a function that once you've lined up one audio track, you can use it to line up all the others. Here's an example of that function from DaVinci Resolve. We use this not only to line up audio from our various devices, but also to line up an audio track that we've edited to eliminate the background noise with the original video. You can see that here. Now let's take a look at background noise removal and begin with low-level hums and hisses.
The key here is to have an 8 to 10 second pause before the speaking begins. This allows you to select this segment, store it as a background noise template, and eliminate it in one operation. I'm showing this on Odyssey, which is a free audio editing program. If you're using a different program, it may look a little different, but they all have this function. In addition, you can use a high-pass filter to eliminate any sound below a certain level. This works well enough, but you can also lose some of the audio that you might want to hear if the speaker varies a lot in sound volume. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to remove irregular sounds while people are speaking. The best plan is to avoid these by repeating the sentence or paragraph without the noise. Most people, when they trip over a word, will repeat just that word. So, you have to train your speakers to go back to the beginning of the sentence or the beginning of a paragraph and start over. That looks better when you're editing out the mistakes. That said, you can easily remove a cough, a stutter, or a door slamming if that happens in a pause between words. Here are some examples of what that looks like. Next, let's look at volume leveling. This happens when you combine several segments that were recorded in different circumstances or with naturally different volume levels. For instance, when you combine spoken segments with music or singing. Most singing is naturally louder than talking. However, you don't want the folks who are watching your videos to have to keep adjusting the volume as they're listening. Once you've combined all the segments in your video editing software into one timeline, you can vary the volume of each segment so that the maximum volume in each segment is the same for all the segments. That allows you to listen to the entire piece without having to touch that volume knob. Finally, let's take a look at ducking, or those times when you have background music but want to speak over it. Often, we simply avoid that issue by keeping the background music at a low level to begin with. However, you might choose to have the music at a normal volume to begin with and then have it duck under your speaking when it starts. You'll do this with your video editing software. You can do this manually by having the volume slope down just before you begin speaking, and if you wish, come back up when you finish. Some video editing programs have an automatic ducking feature that does all this for you. You have to specify which track is the primary one, the one with your speaking on it, and the program does the rest. The only problem with automatic ducking is that the program does it all. Sometimes the background music will unduck if you pause too long between paragraphs. Well, that's it for this video. Be sure to watch the channel for more DisciplesNet discoveries along the way.